Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is StevieWunderKid and welcome back to another GTA 5 drifting video. So you guys probably know we've just gotten the brand new Bottom Dollar Bounties DLC in GTA Online, and with it came some changes to the current drift tuning system. We got some new drift cars and there's been some other physics changes. So today I'm going to be launching right into it. So by far the most exciting thing about this update is the addition of 5 new drift cars, 4 of which we already have in game. 1 is going to be totally brand new. So on the release day, which is today, June 25th, 2024, we have 3 drift cars, basically old cars that now have the option for drift tuning. Those cars are the Ubermacht Sentinel Classic Widebody, the Volker Nebula Turbo, and the Ubermacht Cypher. And based on my preliminary testing with these cars, I didn't really have a long time to test, but based on just a quick little session in each of these cars, I think the Nebula Turbo feels the best. Honestly, it feels very fast, faster than it used to by far. And yeah, the Sentinel Classic Widebody feels decent, and the Cypher does not feel good to me personally. I think the Nebula Turbo is the best of the 3 cars that we currently have. So yeah, I'll probably be making a more in-depth video on that, so definitely stay tuned. But we also have 2 other cars that are going to be drip fed to us that will have options for drift tuning. So the first one is the Karen Fudo, based on this picture from Floorbar, as you guys can see, kind of showing the full vehicle list for this DLC in the game files. We do have a confirmed drift Fudo variant that's going to be coming. I'm not sure why that wasn't released on day 1. It was an OG car, so I'd assume it come out the first day, but apparently this is going to be a drip fed feature. I don't understand why, but that's going to be a thing. And then we're also going to be getting a brand new benefactor vehicle called the Vorschlaghammer, which I assume is a reference to the AMG hammer. You guys can see a picture of it here. And that car, when that car is eventually added to the game, will have the option for drift tuning. As you guys can see, it has a drift variant in the game files. So that's definitely exciting to see. But I mean, that is only 5 new drift cars, and 4 of which we already kind of had in the game and already could drift decently well. So definitely really disappointing in my opinion. Honestly, there were so many good candidates to get the drift tuning upgrade, and Rockstar just didn't do it. I mean, we had the LG Retro Custom, the Sultan RS, so many other good cars from the Los Santos Tuners DLC that still don't have drift tuning. And based on what we know about this update, it's probably not going to get drift tuning in the future. We're gonna have to wait till the next DLC for Rockstar to add more. So that is super disappointing. Again, they had so many good options and they didn't capitalize on that, which I think is a massive L on Rockstar's part. I mean, this batch of cars is smaller than the initial batch of cars, which already was quite small. I mean, we only started with 8 cars and now we only have 5 more. All we want are more drift cars, Rockstar, so please just add more. It's really not that hard. But anyways, that's already pretty disappointing. Another slightly nitpicky and disappointing thing about this update is that the new drift cars, for whatever reason, the drift camera is active only in 3rd person but not in 1st person. So you guys probably know the drift camera feature was a really nice quality of life change for the new drift tuning cars, because the camera would pan based on the direction the car was traveling, not based on the direction the front end was. So basically what that meant was it constantly wasn't jerking around based on your steering inputs. It was nice and smooth and easy to see things, and it made 1st person drifting a lot more passable because you didn't have to manually pan the camera around, because it panned in a direction for you so you could see what you were doing. So for these new drift cars, the drift camera is active in 3rd person mode, as you guys can see here, but in 1st person mode it's just not turned on. I don't know why that is the case for all 3 of the new drift cars that we have upon the release of this update. So kind of a little annoying thing. I'm really hoping that this was just a quality control oversight. I mean, that's pretty on brand for Rockstar, so hopefully they get this fixed sometime soon. But yeah, that is another thing you probably will notice about these new drift cars. And we're batting 1,000 today, boys. We got another really disappointing thing about this update. Maybe it's a blessing, maybe it's a curse, depending on the way that you look at it. I personally see this as quite annoying, but the upgrade system for the drift tuning cars has now officially been fully nerfed. So what that means is that now pre-applying the engine, transmission, and turbo upgrades before equipping the drift tuning now has absolutely no effect. This is the same for both races and in free mode. So I went and did some preliminary drag runs and I talked to some people in my Discord, and the consensus is that the cars aren't any quicker in free mode like they used to be. So you guys remember that originally when Rockstar implemented a nerf for these drift tuning upgrades, it only applied in races kind of to level the playing field. But now, as you guys can see based on some drag results that I collected for the Nebula Turbo and the ZR350, these cars are equally as slow in free mode as they are in races. So that is a really disappointing thing. I was just hoping that Rockstar would open up the drift tuning cars to now have access to upgrades as normal. Basically have the upgrades available after you do the drift tuning. I think that would have been the most logical choice, but now for whatever reason Rockstar just decided to nerf upgrades across the board. So both in free mode and in races, the drift cars will feel a bit slower, and this is the reason why, is that the drift drift tuning upgrades are now fully nerfed. So yeah, really annoying and disappointing for us guys who had been drifting the drift tuning cars when they initially released, and we got to feel just how fast these cars were. I mean, they felt great, and it was both the case for in free mode and in races. They felt amazing. Rockstar did the first step of the nerf where they nerfed the races, and now it is fully nerfed across the board. So it's like Formula 1. They're only making the cars slower and slower and slower, which is really disappointing. I would have rather Rockstar done the inverse and basically open up the upgrades, as I had said before, just so these cars can be upgraded as normal cars could. But yeah, it's kind of nice, I guess, in some way, because now there's no guesswork in determining what upgrades are actually going to make a difference. Especially if you're new players, it's nice to not have to look into this and potentially spend more money and potentially waste money pre-upgrading a car that now those upgrades will no longer have an effect. So it's nice in that regard, but again, for us guys who felt how quick these cars were and how amazing they felt, it definitely is disappointing. So yeah, honestly, I'm really not sure what to think about this update, guys. In my opinion, I think it's more of a disappointment than it is like a good thing, because we did get some new drift cars. We are getting some new features added to the drift races. I'm excited to explore into that a little bit more. I don't personally make maps, but I know people who do make maps, and I know this is going to be a pretty big update for them. I don't exactly know what the extent of the changes were to the race creator, but if they're making options for drift races, then they're probably going to be beefing up that system in general. So I'm really excited to see what people do with that. But separate from that, the disappointing additions to the drift tuning cars and the unnecessary physics changes, in my opinion, just kind of make this DLC out to be a bit of an L. I'm sure you guys probably think the same thing. I think we have a right to be a little bit disappointed. Some people might think I'm being dramatic, but honestly, I do think it's still a bit of an L, all things considered. And yeah, I would love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. So definitely let me know there what you guys are thinking, both about the drifting and just about the update in general. I personally haven't tested out much more with this update. I haven't checked out any of the new cars, though they look really cool. I haven't tried out the new business, but from what I've heard, it does seem to have pretty crappy payouts. So yeah, those are all things I will explore in time. But for now, again, based on all the changes to drifting, it does seem pretty disappointing. And again, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably feel the same way. So regardless, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm going to continue making content for this update regardless of how disappointing it is. So we'll be testing out the brand new drift cars and probably making a review video going over each car's pros and cons. Obviously, I will be doing some updates on the drift feed as we get more drift cars down the line, the Fudo and the Vorschlaghammer. So definitely stay tuned for that. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it somewhat helpful. Hopefully it doesn't taint your perspective of the DLC that much. Hopefully you guys still enjoy it regardless, and I will see you guys in the next video.